It's not into it, but I can see different amounts of bushing on either side. It's bent. Yeah, it's the whole control arm is bent. The lower control arm's bent. Spindle's bent. You hit hard, bud.
Both Jesse and Mike
joint.
goes, wow,
Yep.
that was a good save. I thought
Yeah.
you were putting a clip on it.
No, but everything that bolts onto the clip. So we've been off for the last 3 weeks. We had a rain out, then a couple of nights off because there was some specials running at the racetrack. So it's been a while since we've been on the racetrack. That being said, the weather's changed significantly this weather as well. We're into the middle of September now. We've been running in very hot weather. The last few times we were out, we were well into the 30s. The sun was just very hot. The racetrack was hot. We're quite a bit cooler today, which is really nice for the race cars. The engines build a little more power. You tend to get a little better grip on the racetrack. There's a little less oil and a little less crap, if you will, building up on the surface of the racetrack. So the cars have a little bit better traction. So hopefully we get some really good racing tonight. We've made a couple of minor changes since the last time we were out, nothing significant. We've been running very consistent and been very happy with our finishes. So we're going to try a few things for our next set of practice and get prepared for our qualifying race. Tonight we're going to run a regular qualifying time trial like we have for most of the season, and we're into 2 35-lap races. The last time we were out, we ran heat races and a 60-lapper. Kendra likes and I like these 35-lap twin races that we get. So we're going to have our time trials, get ready for our twin 35s, see if we can't keep the consistency going, bring home a couple of top 5s tonight in the cold weather.
You ready for my daily plan?
Yeah. Well,
Run first practice on these tires.
the ones that are on the car.
Yeah, see how the car is.
Yep.
Then second practice, switch over, do 5 laps.
Yeah.
And then just basically it'll probably be pretty good. Up it a tiny bit for qualifying. Air pressure's a tiny bit for qualifying. And then if we need it to do anything after qualifying, we'll do that.
Okay.
So the last time we were out, we had a really good qualifying run and a good 2 races, so we're really happy about that. Top 5 qualifying, which was awesome for us, our first time ever. And we're hoping to do the same today. It's a little bit cooler out, which is really nice for the car, especially the built motors run really well in the cooler weather. So that's definitely an advantage, as well as the track's way less slippery, which means that we'll definitely have a lot better drive off and just bite all around the racetrack. So really excited for the little bit of cooler weather today, and I'm excited to see how the bits and pieces we've put together over the past couple weeks and weekends are finally going to come together.
I think a lot of the reasons for our success had to be driver to spotter / crew chief / dad communication. We had a lot of good back and forth conversations and a lot of discussions on what we need to do, where we need to improve, and what our areas of weaknesses are. So I think just being able to, last year we did all the hard stuff, and this year we're more pinpointing how we need to change our program and our race car and my driving style. I think that's what really gave us most of our success this season.
Ready, move off over if you can. Set them up and get them if you can. 2 back to the 24 and you pull them. Set them up, late entry. 3 back to the 24. You're catching the 2.5. He was half a track ahead. You're catching him. See you in the pit, buddy. How'd the car feel?
I think we're getting a lot more technical on the track, and we're definitely pushing boundaries in car setup, driver, line, and style, and all of our other aspects. So definitely getting outside your mental state off and on the racetrack is a big thing in advancing your program.
Hang on until I tell you, all
I
right?
think I already moved it a bit.
That's
I
it.
didn't know if it was
We're
in
never
or
going to
not.
get the handle back, Kendra.
Stop.
So our driving lines is the different areas that we race on the racetrack. So the different lines that you take is kind of how you enter and exit the corner more or less, and that also accompanies braking points as well as points where we're getting back on the throttle. So our driving line definitely changed a lot, where we were a lot more wider going into the corner and we were on the gas a lot sooner at the end of the year than we had been before. So I think just those two things together switched our program from top 10 to top 5.
Stop.
You're halfway. Good. Nothing bad. So what's that going to do? What's that going to do? That lowers the rear roll center, which is going to allow the car to rotate better through the middle of the corner. I think a big part of it was we started with a really good piece this year. We took the car down to McCall's down in London. We started with a baseline. We knew exactly where we were. We straightened out a couple of bent parts that we found from last year. So that certainly set us on course this year to start well. That being said, after that, it was all done right here in the Adams Motorsports shop. We had some help from some of the McCall guys. We had some help from outside of the McCall guys. And every time we got a little bit of help, we ate it up. Kendra ate it up. She was very involved this year, talking with some people to say, hey, what's this going to do? What's that going to do? And she provided those the feedback when she got out of the car, or she grabbed the tire pressure gauge, or she grabbed some work, did some work on the car to make the adjustments that she wanted to make to get out there and run better. And it showed with her results and certainly with her consistency.
We are taping off the brake ducts, which have a hose right to the brake rotors, and this allows us to get the heat in the brakes we need for qualifying. So in the features, we'll need the air to the brakes so we can keep them cool for the longer runs, but for qualifying, you don't want you want the heat in your brakes so they work a bit better. But then too much is too bad the other way. So we're going to have our happy medium in qualifying and then take them off for the feature. It was, I want to say a tiny bit tight in the center, but it was a little bit loose off because we're on the gas so much earlier, and we're also on the chip on the front straightaway now too, which is crazy. Not a lot of people chip on the front, but we're getting on the gas so much earlier. We're having all that extra time to rev up the motor. So.
Nice, get into 3 next lap, get into 3. Buddy, gotta beat it. Bring it home. Go to P1 here. Bring it.
I think we're going to be good in the feature, and I know that I race so much better and faster with cars all around me because I can follow and mimic their marks a little bit more. So I'm really excited for the feature. I think we have a really good car for it. But at this moment, I still don't know if I'll be starting 6th or 7th because it will not load for me.
I was saying 6.
Oh.
My thought is 6, because Billy was 5th, and I think you were right behind him. You're checking? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So right behind me.
Follow the Gordy. And
yeah.
Danny, just roll that outside with them, guys.
We're gone.
Nice.
We got
Let's go. Let's go.
24, 57, 46. I already know Billy's gonna run me up.
You're good. We're good.
And I'm gonna get upset.
I don't think that anything purposely changed in the qualifying. I think that it was mostly the car setup that allowed me to take a better right off the bat start. I think what we were lacking was that qualifying setup, as we would be fast in the race after 5 or 6 laps, but in qualifying we just couldn't get our good setup. So I think once we got our good qualifying setup, then I just took it from there, and once we got the really good crew support, it was just same laps that I was making from before, just this time they were a lot better because of our qualifying setup.
What
We're
stagger
exactly
we
4.
at? 4?
Yeah.
So for the feature, you want to do like 3 5/8 or something?
I don't think we want to even drop it that much. I think we'll keep it up there.
Okay.
I went up there and I asked Dale, I said, Dale, like I got to drop this left rear down to 11. He's like, I'm running 10. I'm like, story done. These cars are very, very finicky, and the lap times are very, very, very similar from first to last in this division. And she knows very quickly what's working with the car and what's not working with the car, and can provide some really good feedback that we work together on to make some finite changes, which has been a huge success for us this year to bring up a couple of 2-3 tenths from where we were running before, and it shows with our consistency and with our results. Well, we only got 2 nights left, so it's not like we're running this tire for the next 3 nights.
Yeah.
It's 2 races and then 160, so it's really only 3 heat cycles. So we'll probably start the stagger a little higher. Hopefully it doesn't get real free on you, that's all.
All right, yeah, I'm a little nervous just because we're getting on the gas so much earlier, so
But
we
if
are
the car's
spinning
not-
out of the corner. It's
if
not
it's not
feeling
kicking,
loose, but like the
it's
the
driving?
tire, yeah. Yeah, so whatever.
Okay. I'm gonna
If
check
it
that
gets
right
loose,
front.
then
We
we'll
might
just-
even be able to,
We'll just drop it for the second.
yeah. And in the second, it's gonna tighten up anyhow because the weather's gonna drop quite a bit.
True.
So,
As soon as that sun goes away, it's gonna be cold.
yeah, the track's gonna tighten up.
Field rolling out onto the track, leading off, putting former sheet set fast time earlier this afternoon. The driver at the Southampton on the care of former chase to the college winner out of Peterborough Speedway and a multi-time Sunset Speedway feature winner.
Green, 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 green. Dig, 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 dig. James, how's it feel? Get a wiggle here. Zardos, how's it feel, Kendra?
So coming to the green flag first lap, I locked wheels with another driver due to them coming up into my car. I was on the outside and they came up too close to me. We locked wheels, and when that happens, it's really, really hard to steer for either driver. So when that happened, we locked wheels, and trying to get apart, I was sent into the outside wall, which had my front end hit first, where I would break a shock, and then my rear end would hit, and that would break the panhard bar mount as well as the panhard bar adjuster, and probably bent our rear end. Would hit the wall pretty hard. So I called it that it was going to happen before the race even started. I said to my dad, every time I start outside this driver, they run me up way too high and we touch wheels every single time. And touching wheels, even if you don't lock wheels and are unable to steer, a lot of the time it ruins your toe on your car and it ruins your setup for the whole race. And that's something that you can't fix while you are racing. So it's really unfortunate that some people choose to drive that way. And I honestly, I don't have words. Like,
Yeah. Our bar's broke. Well, we'll start with the lows. The lows was opening night when we had a problem with the motor before the first feature even started. We had a big leak, so we couldn't run the first feature. Although that was kind of decent because there was no doubt that took us right out of a whole points race. And then the second feature of the opening night, she got into a little bit of a wreck and tore the front end off the car. So that was a bit of a low. And the real low was the very last night of racing for us, which was the second last night of racing, where she got wrecked on the opening lap. I mean, these things happen. It was very frustrating. We were very aggravated at it. Did quite a bit of damage to the car. Those are clearly the lows. Because the the panhard bars dragging, everything's dragging. So we're gonna get up and we'll have a look, but I'm pretty sure we're done. Yep. The Panhard bar mount is broken, shock's broken. I'm pretty sure the rear end's bent. So.
What even happened? I didn't see it. Who hit him?
Zardel, the 46 car, got her on the initial start, I think.
Yeah, so I'm focusing on myself and the car head. You can see the car get closer and closer. Obviously, I don't want to put myself into the wall, so it's better to go door to door. Sadly, we were wheel to wheel when we touched. It was actually our rear wheels. After I watched the footage, it was our rear wheels that touched, which is horrible. Nobody wants that. Those are our driving wheels, and it's really not fair. So as soon as they touched, I could feel it, and it pulled the car. It kind of pulled, so he was going forward, and with our rear wheels touching, it kind of pulled me like this. We both went like that a bit, and then when he broke off, it would send me into the wall head first, and then rear end second. So that's kind of the way it goes, and I think it's really unfair, and I've yet to see this other driver. I know when things happen to me that I would go and apologize. Even if I didn't think it was my fault, I'd probably go and say, sorry, that sucks, especially because this driver and I are really good friends. So it's really upsetting to not get an apology.
So we're obviously done for the night.
Yeah.
Because we don't have parts.
And unless Nick wants to take the car home to race it on Sunday, we're done for the year because you're in Vancouver all week.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I said that on TV.
Okay. Yeah, I figured you figured that already.
This happens every time, and you can't be like that because you clearly lack what it takes to.
He's not afraid to drive into a lot. Great job qualifying today. Great job that you would have raced today.
Yeah.
Great season, Kendra. Love you. So going to the initial green on the very first feature of the night didn't go very well for Kendra at all. Coming to the initial start, coming out of 4, she was on the outside, the car on the inside, you know, took as much liberty as he could, ran her up as high as he could. They ended up hitting wheels, they locked wheels, it jerked the car out of shape, and then thrown up into the wall, and you can see the results of it. Right side tires damaged, whole right side of the car falling off. Upon further inspection, she pulled off right away, knowing that there was significant damage. Broken Panhard bar mount, ripped the trailing arm out of the right rear chassis, broken right front shock, broken right front lower control arm, broken spindle. So just a significant amount of damage to the car, and terribly unfortunate. We'd come in with high hopes for today. Kendra's consistency had been fantastic in the races. Her lap times were getting better every race. Qualified one of the fastest times I think she's had in a long time, a 14.80. So qualified 6th with some really, really quick cars right up there, and was looking for some really good things tonight. Not to be. It didn't even get half a lap and didn't even get to the start-finish line, and the race was over for us. So with the amount of damage we had, it's going to be game over for tonight, and most likely game over for the season.
So for my second season in the late model, I think that we did really, really good, and that we overachieved our goals. So we had a lot of really, really good finishes and a lot of poor finishes, but really, really good races. So I'd have to say that this season was a win, and just being able to go out there and competing for top 5s near the end of the season means a lot for me and my team.
Say you're going top 5, you won.
My high is definitely the night she finished 4th in the second feature, and the first feature I was fortunate enough to run the 24 car of Nick Getz, and Kendra passed me again. So I had the opportunity to race Kendra. She passed me. She had a really good car that night, and then she finished 4th in the second feature. Nick wanted me to run the car for the second feature, and I thought, you know what? No, I got a spot for Kendra. I kind of missed that, and here she is running off a top 4. She was running in the top 5 when she got spun out in the first feature, so just a fantastic night. That was absolutely my high for the year. Racing with her, and then when she finished top 4, absolutely my high.
I'm so happy.
You want to make any changes for the second feature or what?
I think the biggest high for me was our 4th place finish. That's the first time I ever went to Tech in a feature race. That's my best finish in 6 years in a feature race, and it's in the premier class and one of the best groups of cars in Ontario. That's a huge accomplishment for me. I also think our 4th place qualifying, maybe it was 5th, our top 5 in qualifying the first time was amazing, because for the past 2 years on this show, we've been talking about how horrible of a qualifier I am, and to bring out with a really good qualifying run was awesome. And I am falling in and realizing that I'm fitting in behind cars that have won championships, over 10 races, and have umpteen amounts of money into their programs. So just knowing that I can be right up there with those people is the biggest high of my season. So I think the confidence that I built over this season was my biggest high, as well as the axle braking. And as soon as it happened, I was kind of like, well, this is it.
Do you think the axle could have been broken? Because it kind of felt like this tire was broken. I think this side was broken.
Are you in park? I mean, are you in gear? Because that's exactly what it is. See how this is spinning and that's not spinning at all?
And I think that made me kind of realize, like, hey, you do really know what you're doing, so stop putting yourself down about it.
The car has never been loose for me without being tight first. So I think that it's loose for you because you ain't driving it correctly.
Cut. You know, it'd be interesting to be a fly in the truck on the way home. Almost every night on the way home from the racetrack, it's just Kendra and I in the truck. Kelly usually drives up on her own, and so she drives home right after the race. So Kendra and I on the way home, we debrief somewhat, we laugh and we joke and we have a good time, but we do ask those serious questions. Hey, where did we make a mistake, or what could we have done that would have been better? And we try and build on it for the following week. You know, we do to try to keep everything as light as possible. We are just a small family-run team. There's not a whole lot of resources here in the shop. But her and I, it's just so much fun to work with her, to ask those questions and have a good time. You know, there can be some headbutting at times, and that comes and goes, and that in itself, you know, can be a lot of fun as well.
Are you done?
This is my extent of the work this weekend. I'm gonna watch.
I'm gonna watch too because I don't know what I'm doing. So.
I think a lot of the knowledge that I've kind of come forward with, or the suggestions that I've come forward with, are more of an attention-based knowledge. So the more that I've paid attention to what a lot of people are talking about and what I feel in the race car, instead of being like, "Ooh, we're fast this practice," I think being a lot more aware and a lot more attentive to what's going on around me and what we're doing and how we're doing it breeds into being a better race car driver. Because when you know how to set something up and what works and what doesn't for what different feeling you're feeling on the racetrack, you kind of are able to call the shots a little bit better. There's like 3 different kinds of loose that you can feel in a car, and there's 3 different changes to make. So I think when you finally start to put everything together and you're more aware, you definitely become better in the pits and on the racetrack. And I think as the season went on, I just was able to pick that feeling and what we should do, from what he told me, back out of my brain. And then he'll be like, wow, okay, that sounds good, and we'll do that. And
we're low over there. Remember, we dropped that to get stagger for the qualifying?
Okay,
so
yeah,
I think we're
so
better
put
to
a
put a little bit
couple,
left
like
in.
2 up there, 2, 3?
2.5.
2 because I start up front, so we have to be decent up front.
Early. Okay, 2.
sometimes he'll say, do you think 1 or 2 pounds? And I'll say 2, and he'll go, we'll do 1. And it usually works out pretty good. So I think we balance each other out really well, and we definitely bounce a lot of good ideas off each other.
I was really happy.
Okay, I thought so too. I mean, you were right there with Gord. I know it was only a couple laps. I also took a couple pounds out of this left rear just to give you a tiny bit more stagger, which is going to help you turn right through the middle.
Yeah.
I think we have a really, really good shot at consistent top 5s and probably a feature win, I'm hoping, next year. I think we'll be that kind of competitive, and I think we'll really be up there showing everybody what we got.
Don't show that.